Good morning, everybody. We got more people joining us. Hi, welcome. Good morning, good morning. Nice to have you all here. If you are new to me, welcome. If I don't know if you might have had some new people joining class, that's wonderful. And just like Anu and I were talking, we all might have some different stuff going on with ourselves. Every morning we wake up, it's a new day, got new stuff that sometimes happens. So please just move mindfully throughout our class today. Practice your modifications, your adjustments, whatever works for you and your body and your practice. And we move through our practice, just as mindfully as possible. So happy to have you all here. Let's go ahead and start transitioning unless I have any questions, comments, or feedback. Awesome. So I'm going to put us all on mute, but you are welcome at any time to unmute yourself. If you have questions, comments, you can also use that little chat box at the bottom because I keep my eye on the screen for the class so I can check in on you all. So let's get to it. So for props, you can bring in whatever you want. We might not all have the exact same thing, but that's fine. So pillows, bolsters, folded blankets. If you have yoga blocks, a yoga strap, have those handy. Any additional cushions, a towel is often nice. And then if you have a chair, we might want to have that as part of our practice today as well. If you don't have the chair, don't worry about it. You can also just use furniture around the house. So we're actually going to start this practice today in our child's pose. Now we can make this child's pose more supported with our props. So if you do take care of your knees, legs, hips, sitting back on an extra bolster or pillow might be comfortable. We can also take some props in front of the body if we want to have our body a little bit more supported. If you want to go into more the traditional version of child's pose and get a chest opening and a lot of extension through the arms, you can do that as well. I would recommend wide knee child's pose, so opening our knees wider than the hips, drawing the toes to touch. Even rolling a blanket up and sliding that behind the crease of the knees can also provide some relief. Like I said, if you're adding some props in front of the body, you can stack some pillows, your blankets, leave a little bit of space between your props and the belly, so the belly has a little room to move. And just coming down, wrapping the arms around those props. And like I said, if you're ready to go into more of a stretch, we'll reach our fingertips forward. The hands can be nice and wide. We'll draw those sit bones back and we'll allow the belly and the heart and the head to move towards the floor. I do want our head supported. So if the head doesn't easily touch the ground, especially first thing in the morning, stack your hands under your forehead, use some type of yoga prop so that our forehead is releasing and able to be supported. So we'll just take a few deep breaths here, start mentally checking in with our body today. If the fingertips are extended, keep reaching to those front corners of the yoga mat as we simultaneously bring our sit bones down and back. This will give us a nice big stretch through the side bodies. The more we can allow our heart to sink to the ground, the more that will open up the shoulders. We'll probably be feeling a nice stretch across the low back and around the hips. So mentally move through the body, checking in with the areas that are awake and ready for our practice today, filling ourselves up with some gratitude that we were all able to find our mats on our own, but also recognizing those areas that we might be healing or taking care of, honoring them throughout our practice today. And then let's start to feel and observe the breath in the body. Just observe and watch the body breathe here, where the breath flows in the body. We should still be able to observe that expansion and contraction with the breath. So as we're breathing in, the body opens up. And as we breathe out, we can notice a subtle contraction. The rib cage comes a little closer together. And we're breathing as smoothly and evenly as possible in and out through the nose. And let's all take one more cycle of breath here. Let this breath be as full as possible in this position. So the next time we inhale, we'll inhale as much air as we possibly can, drawing in that fresh air, prana, and energy for our practice. Fill the whole body up. Same thing on this next exhale. We'll take our time, our biggest exhale of our morning yet, breathing that breath all the way out. Put a little effort into it. Empty the lungs. Clear the body of stale old air and energy. Now on the next inhale, let's float the head up. We're going to draw the body up, bringing weight into our hands. Stack those knees underneath the hips and open the feet slightly. If you have props around you, you can rearrange yourself so that we're coming up into all fours. So that is purposeful compression of the legs. So let's give our legs a big stretch. Press into the ground, draw the low belly in, keep those hips level, and stretch the right foot back behind. The ball of the foot's to the floor. We can gently shift our weight through that heel, open up the eye of the knee, take a nice deep breath in. On the exhale, bring that knee down. Equal weight in the hands, draw low belly in. Let's stretch the left leg back, ball of the foot to the floor, toes tucked under. Again, we can shift our weight back a little bit through that heel, open up the eye of the knee. Big breath in. And on the exhale, let's bring that knee down. Remember, anytime we can rise up on our fingertips into Hasta Bandha, rounding through the knuckles, or fist for wrists. Let's come right into some flexion and extension and cat-cow pose. On the inhale, we'll relax the abdomen. We'll create space and length up the spine from the tip of the tailbone to the crown of the head. Following our exhale, we'll draw the belly in, round the back up to the ceiling, scoop the tailbone under. Try drawing the chin towards the chest and bring your drishti to the belly button. And then follow the rhythm of your breath. So the breath moves us in and out of flexion and extension. Start to get some mobility here in the pelvis and the hips. Really try to move all the way up and down the spine, vertebra by vertebra, between the shoulder blades. We could take one more of each or pause in one of these poses if it feels really nice for our back. Maybe do a little movement in the neck and shoulders side to side. And then we'll come back to a neutral spine. So again, the fingers are spread wide, press to the first knuckles and the fingertips, and press into the ground. So unlock those elbows, use some strength through the upper body. Low belly still pulling in, hips are level. Re-extend that right leg from the hip, and then squeeze the right side to hover the right leg parallel to the floor. Actively flex that right foot here. So this is going to turn into our balance work already. We should start to feel our abdominal muscles strengthen. Adding that left arm, reaching it forward for spinal integration. And we're just holding and breathing this morning. One more breath. Let's take one more inhale. The next exhale, bring the left hand back down to the ground. Keep the right leg up. We're going to sweep our right leg over to the left and then down towards the floor. Now the toes can stay tucked under, or you can point the toes and come to the top of the foot. We're going to peek over our left shoulder and stretch our whole right side. So we've been focusing a little bit more on our lateral extensions for this month. So see if you can see that foot behind the body. Take one more breath in. We're going to float that right leg back up And exhale, bring the knee to the ground. Let's take a couple cat-cows here. Come back to neutral, draw the belly in, equal weight in the hands. Extend the left leg straight back from the hip. That foot is flexed. Squeeze the left side to the left glute, low back. Hamstrings engaged to hover the left leg parallel to the floor. The toes are pointing straight down to the ground. Keep those hips level. Holding, balancing, and breathing. We'll extend the right arm forward. Palm faces in, thumb up. One more breath here. And then exhale, bring the right hand down. Float the left foot over to the right and down. Again, to the ball of the foot, or point through the toes and flatten the top of the foot. Squeeze your right side to peek over the right shoulder, giving our left side a nice long stretch. See if you can find that foot behind you. Next inhale, we're gonna bring the head back to neutral, float that left leg up. Exhale, bring the knee down. Again, a couple cat-cows. Move up and down the length of the spine. Bring it back to neutral. We're gonna do one more little balancing work here, our modified Ardha Chandrasana, or side plank pose. Take the top of the left foot and slide it out towards the long edge of the mat. Re-extend that right foot straight back from the hip. Ball the foot to the floor. Now the left hand and arm are going to be doing the work. So press through the left hand, through the knuckles of the fingertips. Roll to the instep of the right foot. Take weight out of the right hand. We can place the right hand on our hip to start. So you're pulling up through the left side body. We're gonna start stacking the hips and the shoulders. And then right arm may extend up to the ceiling. Hold and breathe. More of our lateral stretch. Reach the right arm over the ear. The palm faces down towards the ground. We're creating this nice long length for the side body here, all the way from the outside of the foot to the fingertips. Next inhale, reaches the right arm back up. A little bit more strengthening. So now squeeze your right side again. Actively flex that right foot. And let's try to hover it parallel to the floor. So right foot, toes should be pointing forward. Pretend like you're pressing down on an invisible ledge with the inside of that right foot. Left arm should be super strong. And then the head's in line with the spine. Head gets heavy, wants to hang down. Take one more big breath in. Pretend like you're leaning against an invisible wall. Remember how this feels in the body. On the exhale, bring the right foot down, look down and unwind out of the pose. Say we went into it. So hand down. Bring both knees back underneath the hips, both feet back into tabletop. Fingertips or fists for wrists. Take a couple cat-cows. Inhaling to our gentle back bending. Exhale, scooping, tucking, and rounding. And then coming back to neutral, we'll do that on the other side. Draw in through that low belly. Stretch that left foot straight back from the hip. Oh, take the top of your right foot, slide it out to the long edge of your mat. That's just like a little kickstand. It will help with our balance. Left foot stretches behind the body. Press down through the right hand, through the knuckles of the fingertips. Start to roll to the instep of the left foot. Take weight out of that left hand to hip. Start trying to stack the hips and the shoulders like we're leaning against a wall here. From here, right arm can reach up to the ceiling, palm is facing forward. We're still pressing down through the knuckles of the fingertips in the right hand. Pull up to that right side body. Left arm reaches over the ear, palm faces the floor. If we want that long lateral stretch all the way from the outside of the foot to the fingertips. Inhale that left arm up. Now squeeze to the left side again. Keep your left foot actively flexing, toes to shin bones, and try to hover that left leg parallel to the floor. Toes should be pointing forward. We're pressing down into an invisible ledge with that left instep. So left leg really strong all the way up through the inner thigh, growing muscles. Press into the earth through that right arm. Keep the shoulders strong. Keep the neck long. Big breath in. Exhale, look down, unwind, foot down, hand down. Bring it all the way back, knees and feet to tabletop. Couple rounds of our cat and our cow. And then from here, neutral position, walk the hands about 1 hand's distance forward, tuck the toes under, draw that low belly in. We're gonna press up and back into maybe our first downward facing dog of our day. So parallel those feet, adjust your stance as needed. Keep the knees slightly bent if that helps take tension out of the low back. Fingers should be wide, grounding down through the mound of the index finger and thumb, but we're rolling those upper arm bones away from our ears, drawing the shoulders down the back. The head can float between those upper arm bones. Draw the navel towards the spine. Shift the thigh bones back. Heels are sinking towards the ground. It's okay if they don't touch. We're gonna take our dog for a walk here to get more of a stretch through the backs of those legs. So on our next breath in, let's float the heels up as high as we can. Stretch out the toes and the feet. Exhale, sink the right heel to the ground, bend the left knee. Inhale those heels up. Exhale, sink the left heel to the ground, bend the right knee. Now you can continue to pedal those feet one at a time. Keep equal weight in the hands. And then sink both heels towards the ground. So we are going to do our rolling planks today. This is going to try to move articulation through all the joints in the body. It will build up our upper body strength and core strength. So on our next inhale, both heels lift up. The hips are going to rise up. Then roll through your low back, your mid back, upper back. The crown of the head should be the very last thing that extends forward, stacking the shoulders over the wrists. We might need to wiggle our feet back slightly. Good, so we're in full plank. Now on the exhale, tuck the chin to the chest, push into the earth, poof up the upper back between the shoulder blades, roll through the mid back, the low back, all the way down the hips, back to the legs, to the heels. The chin can still be tucking, looking towards the belly button. Inhale, heels up, hips up, roll through the spine, vertebra by vertebra. Last thing, crown of the head extends forward, full plank. Exhale, tuck the chin, poof up the back of the heart, roll through the spine, all the way up through the hips, down the legs to the heels. One more round, rolling. You're moving like a wave, trying to move through, good. All the vertebra. Nice, easy, slow, controlled movement. Feel that strength from within. Awesome. We'll meet back in downward facing dog. Tuck that chin, roll it all the way up, down the legs to the heels. Good job. One breath here. Next inhale, we will look forward to our hands. And at this point, baby step our feet to hands, hands to feet. We have been upside down for a while. We'll stay upside down if that works for our back and our body today in Uttanasana. Releasing the head, the fingertips to the ground, taking hold of the elbows to ragdoll. If we're modifying for our low backs, we bend those knees and we place our elbows or our hands on our thighs. We do not have to be in a forward fold or come all the way up and wait for us in mountain pose. Those of us forward folding today, keep your legs strong. Start thinking about those lower bandhas, so Mula Bandha, the pelvic floor, Uddiyana Bandha in the belly. And then let's all micro bend our knees, place our hands on our thighs, fingertips turned in. Again, articulation of the spine. Tuck the chin to the chest, and as you inhale, press down through the feet and roll up through the spine. Inhaling, inhaling, inhaling. Stack the vertebra one at a time. The head should be the very last thing that comes up. Once the head is on top of those shoulders, give those shoulders a purposeful squeeze up to the ears. Purposeful tension. So when we exhale, we release the shoulders down from the ears, the arms float out beside the body into Tadasana mountain pose. Just feel our body here. Nice alignment. Equal weight in the feet, unlocking those knees, pulling up through the pelvic floor, the perineum muscles, drawing into the lower abdominal muscles. Lengthen the upper buttock down to the ground. Feel opening through the chest and the heart, extension through the arms to the fingertips, and the head is floating lightly on top of our shoulders. Now turn the palms out. Inhale, draw a big circle. Adjust yourself in your space if needed, all the way up to the ceiling. Bring the palms to touch and exhale down in front of the heart. So we'll fix our drishti on one spot and start to work with a little bit of balance. Inhale, palm tree pose. We draw that big circle, reach up. This time we lift the heels up. Good. And on the exhale, this is usually the more challenging part of the pose. Hands to heart, lower the heels to the ground, nice and slowly. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Even more of a challenge, take the drishti up towards the fingertips when you reach up. And then exhale, slowly lower down. One more time. Big stretch. Exhale, we'll meet back down on the ground, heels down, hands in front of the heart. So we're gonna get into a little bit more movement now. We'll do some flowing movements, and then we'll get into our bigger standing poses. So again, you might need to adjust yourself. We wanna face the long edge of our yoga mat. We'll take a nice wide stance, maybe not as wide as we would normally do for like a warrior one or warrior two pose. We're gonna allow our toes to angle out slightly, but that means that you also need to really contract from the outer knee to outer hip. We don't want our knees buckling inward. Knees should always be pointing towards the middle of the feet. On the inhale, reach those arms up into our star pose. Shoulders are not shrugging to ears. Let your neck be long. Now on the exhale, we're gonna slide down an invisible wall. So bend your knees out to your toes, draw the elbows down and squeeze to the upper back, Kalyasana. Inhale, reach up through the fingertips. Exhale, you're really pulling down. Engage those upper back muscles. This is a great pose to improve our posture. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, pull it down. This time, hold and breathe. So pull that belly in, sink the tailbone down, knees to toes. We can take chin mudra on the hands if you like, index finger to thumb, and a little bit of balance work here. So try to just lift one heel up at a time. If you happen to be taking care of those ankles, this might not be the pose for you today. You can adjust as needed. And then if we like to try, challenge our balance even more, both heels up. Pull that belly in, make sure your knees are out. Good, nice alignment. Try to sink a little lower, upper back is still working. Good. Big breath in. We're gonna reach all the way up. You can stay up on your tippy toes. On the exhale, drop the heels, bend the knees out, and draw this nice big sweeping circle through the fingertips. Inhaling and exhaling. So our flowing star pose or Kalyasana, this is also a really nice pose to do first thing in the morning. It improves our circulation, loosens up all the joints of the body. Exhaling and inhaling. One more round. We'll meet on the inhale when we get there, reaching everything up to the ceiling, look up to those fingertips. Exhale, bring the hands to heart. So from here, heel, toe, step, step, step those feet in, because we're gonna need to make some adjustments. We're gonna move into our triangle pose, Utthita Trikonasana, and then eventually work into Ardha Chandrasana, which we did the other day. So you might wanna have your yoga blocks to the front and back of your mat. If you happen to have a chair, you can take a chair to, we'll start with our props. If you only have one prop, to your right. That way our left and rights are the same. And you might forego the prop. The other day we did unsupported triangle. We stay more upright and we work on toning and strengthening the core muscles. So we might all be a little bit different in our pose. We'll open up into our wide neutral stance, step those feet out. Extend the fingertips from the shoulders. Now this is a little bit wider of a stance now. And we wanna start with the feet parallel, toes pointing forward. On the inhale, pick up those right toes from that thigh bone, point the toes towards the front of the mat. The hips and the shoulders are still opening to the long edge of the mat. Unlock those knees. Take a slight tilt in the pelvis, so you'll draw your right hip crease in. Core and side body stay long. Inhale into extension. Now on the exhale, you may simply windmill the arms, unsupported triangle, bringing that right hand to the inside of the leg, drawing the left shoulder blade back. Equal weight in both feet. If you do have a yoga block nearby, you may reach your fingertips towards it, or if you have the seat of a chair to give some stability, but try not to place all your weight down through that hand into your prop. Keep the strength through both feet, up the legs, through the core. We'll hold and breathe this morning. We may look down towards that bottom foot. It's kind of good to check in with that alignment anyway. Make sure our right knee is pointing towards the center of the foot. We can look straight forward. Remember, we want to keep the neck long. Or we can rotate and gaze up towards the left thumb. Wherever we are, take one more breath. Really enjoy this nice stretch up that inner thigh, also keeping the length through the side bodies. Now our inhale pulls up out of the pose. So use your muscles, use your strong legs. Inhale, reach up. Good, arms parallel, point the right toes forward. Now, if we are using a prop and we need to move it to the other side, do so mindfully, so just with awareness. And then we can come back into our stance with the feet parallel, toes pointing forward, shrug the shoulders from the ears, arms are strong. Good, inhale, left toes up. You're opening at the hips, so you're rolling that thigh bone open. That will point your toes to the back of the mat, keeping the hips and shoulders open to the long edge. From here, draw the left hip crease in. Keep the length through both side bodies. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, windmill the arms. So knees should be unlocked. Don't collapse into the knees. The legs are straight, but they're strong. Unsupported triangle brings the left hand to the inside of the leg. You can even use that as a little bit of leverage. Drawing that right shoulder back, keep the neck long. If we're taking our fingertips down to the floor or prop, just remember, don't let all your weight shift through that bottom hand. Drishti can move down. We can check our alignment, left knee to center of the foot. Gazing straight forward, keeping the throat and heart open, or rotating through the neck, looking up to the right thumb. Breathing, receiving that stretch up that inner thigh, nice long side bodies. One more breath. Again, it's the inhale that's gonna pull us up. Strong legs, strong core. On your inhale, reach up out of the pose. Parallel those arms. Point the left toes forward. Drop the arms. Give them a little wiggle, a little roll of the shoulders. And then we can heel toe the feet in, give them a little step in. So the next pose is our bigger, more powerful pose. Again, mindfully switch your prop back to the first side of the short end of your mat if you're using one. So this is going to be Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. We're going to approach it a little bit differently today. We're going to start with a shorter stance, a more narrow stance. Let me just give you a visual of what it will look like for our brain. So the standing foot turns out like we just did in triangle pose. We'll bend into that knee a little bit so that we can shift our weight. Now we already did this pose in a kneeling position where we brought our leg parallel to the floor. We point our toes straight forward. We press down onto that invisible ledge. There can really be no weight in this bottom hand, or you can use a prop as a little bit of assistance. Side body should stay long. Ardha Chandrasana, you can play with your balance. So that's kind of what we're going to be going into. Really important for my low back people, you've got to be pulling that belly in as hard as you can to stabilize the back. Be mindful of ankles and that type of thing. So to start, we'll start moving with our right hand towards our prop. So a little wider than hip stance, but not as wide as our triangle stance. Turn the right toes to face forward. Now this pose is still hip and heart opening. I'm not turning my body. I'm trying to keep my hips open. So we really have to work on that contraction from the outer knee to hip. Once you have that, bend into the knee a little bit. We're gonna push it into the earth, pull that low belly in, and I'm gonna press down into that foot and start to let my left leg get light. Then I gotta squeeze the left leg super strong and tight. Flex that foot, point those toes forward. Trying to bring the leg parallel to the floor. If you're near a wall, you can place your right hand to the wall. That works too. If the foot comes down to the ground, re-engage. You're squeezing the glute, toning and strengthening those side bodies. Left arm may eventually reach up. Lean against that invisible wall. Good. It's okay if we fall out of the pose. Just fall safely. Remember, I showed you the other week practicing this against the wall. So that'll be our homework today. It feels quite nice. Where's the head in space? Where's my breath? Squeeze those muscles. Good. One more breath. And just like triangle pose, bend into your right knee a little bit. The inhale is going to pull us back up. Inhale, inhale, drop the left foot to the floor. And then exhale, turn the right toes forward. And just pause for a moment. Wide standing mountain pose is fine. Notice the body, notice the breath. That's a fun pose to do, a little energizing. And then release. So again, if you're moving your prop, do so with awareness. Yoga blocks are good to use too. I actually find that it challenges my balance because if you have it on the higher setting, because that's where it needs to be in order to use it, it's weeble wobbly. If you can bring it to the medium setting or stack a couple blocks on top of each other, you'll have a firmer foundation. And then if you are using a block, you want it to be at a little bit of an angle off of the pinky toe, because that will be underneath your shoulder. So other side, a little wider stance in the hips. Pick up those left toes, turn them to the short end of the yoga mat. Do not turn the body. We're not facing there. We're trying to keep our hips open. So a lot of action through those outer thighs to glutes. Heart is open. Bend into that knee. You're going to push down through the earth with your left foot. That should allow your right leg to already get light. And then you start tipping to the left. Now the right foot needs to get strong. Flex it. Toes to shins. Squeeze. Abductors. Glutes. All the way around that outer waistband. We're trying to open the hips, stack the shoulders. Right arm can reach up. You can play with unsupported half moon. Press down to that invisible ledge. Lean against that invisible wall, or maybe you are using a wall. That's fine too. If we come out of it, press, squeeze, try to lift back up. Where's the head in space? Eventually, we try to bring our drishti up to that top thumb again. Pretty big challenge. One more breath. I like the modifications, good. Our inhale lifts up out of the pose. So you're gonna inhale, reach up. Exhale, try to land as softly as possible. Turn the left toes forward. Float the arms down to a wide stance Tadasana and just observe and breathe. Take a big breath in. Let's reach up to the ceiling. Bring the palms to touch and exhale to our center. All right, good job. So we can clear our space. And then we'll meet back at the top of our mat standing in Tadasana. So once you have your space cleared, feet are parallel to each other, ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips, float the arms slightly from the side body, fix the gaze on one part, make sure your knees are unlocked, lengthen the upper buttock to the floor. Big breath in, draw that nice big circle, reach out wide, palms up, reach all the way up to the ceiling. Drishti to thumbs for a gentle back bend. On our exhale, micro bend those knees, hinge from the hips. We're gonna swan dive our way back down to whatever our forward fold looks like. So we might release the arms, the head, the shoulders, or modify as needed. Maybe prance the legs a couple times, continue to stretch through the back side of the body. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to shins or higher, float the chest up, draw the shoulders away from the ears. Next, exhale, bend the knees, plant the hands. We are taking a big step back into plank pose again. Now, if you are unable to do plank pose with the wrists, you're always welcome to come down onto your forearms for forearm plank. We are going to play a little bit with Vasisthasana, so that might be a little bit more challenging, but it is doable to do on your forearms. So full plank, you are also welcome to be a kneeling plank. Scoop that tailbone under, pull that belly in, press the ground away from you. Where's our head in space? Modification, drop the right knee down, right underneath the hip. Kickstand the foot out, press into the right hand, roll to the instep, left arm up. We already did this pose. Full version, bring the insides of the feet and legs to touch down the middle of the mat. Roll to the outside of the right foot, stacking the legs, the hips, and the shoulders. Vasisthasana, side plank. Pull that right side away from the floor, press through the knuckles of the feet. Another version is to hover the left leg from the floor. Big breath in. Exhale, look down, slowly unwind. Full plank, kneeling plank, your modification. If you are taking the modification and you're on your knees, left knee down, kickstand the foot, cross into the left hand, roll to the instep, right arm up. Full version, insides of the feet and legs touching, stack the legs, the hips, the shoulders, right arm reaches up. Squeeze your left side. Be mindful where the head is in space. Maybe try to float that right leg up. Big breath in. Exhale, look down, unwind. Full plank, kneeling plank, your choice. One breath. Inhale, press into the floor, lift your hips up. Exhale, sink that weight down through the heels, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. So down dog should feel like a resting pose after those more powerful poses. Inhale, heels up. On this exhale, we'll drop the knees to the floor, point the toes. Sitting back into child's pose again, you can keep the knees together. Sliding the hands down to the back by the feet to release our wrists. Again, we want the head to be grounded, so if we need a prop or slide our hands underneath the forehead, do so. One more breath. Then bring the hands under the shoulders, tuck the chin, articulation of the spine. Inhale, we're gonna round up one vertebra at a time. And then we can sink over to either hip and bring our feet forward. So we're gonna revisit a pose that we've done the last couple classes. Sometimes called Christina's pose. So we might need to do some adjusting in our space again. This will eventually put some pressure on our knees if we're going to go into the fuller pose. So you'll either want to turn yourself to the long edge of your yoga mat so you're on your cushion, or maybe bring a blanket or a towel into the practice so that your knees can go on it. But just so we're all on the same page, let's start with our feet forward, nice and wide. The fingertips come back behind our hips, and we're just going to rock our knees side to side. And then we'll all get on the same page, so my left and rights hopefully make sense. So let's start by walking our feet over to our left. You might need to lift up off the hip. You might even need some support underneath the sit bones, and I'll show you that in a second. So we'll allow our right knee to point slightly forward. It's still angled out. And you're gonna take your left foot back to that instep off to the side. It'll depend on how much internal rotation ability you have in your hip, whether that foot's closer in or closer out. We don't want any pain in the knee or pinching or discomfort. If you feel that, we're gonna lift ourselves up. If both sit bones are unable to make contact with the ground, maybe your left sit bone is pulled up away from the floor, take some support underneath. So now my pelvis is level and it's so much easier for me to sit up. You don't need it, but you can have it. So the sole of this foot can be just somewhere along the inner thigh. Sit up tall. We'll bring our right fingertips or palm towards the floor. The modification is just going to be a movement with the upper body. So on the inhale, again, we'll press into that right hand gently, and that left arm is going to come over the ear. So we've kind of already done these movements a couple times in this class. And then on the exhale, you'll sweep down. So the hips never need to lift up, no pressure on the knees. If you want to go a little bit further today, we'll bring weight, bear weight onto our right hand. Inhale, when you reach up, you're going to pull your hips up, press them slightly forward, reach and extend. So you're getting this big stretch all the way up. And on the exhale, you lower down. So I still have my cushion behind me. I'm using that as a little bit of support. Whichever version, 2 more times with the breath. A little bit more chest opening, you can gaze upwards. And then a little bit more for that left shoulder, upper back. Reach up, press the hips forward. You can look down and kind of reach that left arm a little bit more forward, and you'll feel that pull up through the back. Good. We'll meet on our next exhale when we get there, hips down and hands down. Bring the hands around the back of the body. Carefully lean back so we can slide our feet forward again. Feet are wide, rock the knees side to side. And then other side, we'll start to bring our feet slightly over to the right. We're gonna allow the left knee to fall forward. Flex the right foot, come to the instep and bring that knee to the ground. Again, you can slide that foot in or out depending on what works best for you. The sole of this foot can be anywhere to the top of that thigh. If the sit bones don't easily touch, you can use your prop. So this side, I definitely need the support behind me. You might notice a difference when you try to sit flat to the floor, depending on the angle of the knees. Left fingertips or hand to the ground. Inhale, just the arm. Keep your hips down. Take a big side body stretch here. Exhale. We want a little bit more. Press through that left hand. Squeeze those muscles. Lift the hips up. Reach it up and over. Good. And on our exhales, we lower down. A slight variation can change where we get more of the stretch. So if we gaze upwards and reach that right arm slightly back, we'll feel it more through the chest. Exhaling. And if we need a little bit more for that shoulder, upper back, when we reach up, you can look down to the bottom hand, reaching the right arm slightly forward, and that will pull those muscles through the back. And then exhale. Once we come back down to the ground, hands behind the hips, lean back, step those feet out, give them a little rock side to side. And then we'll come off our props if there's one there. We are going to work our way down onto our back at this point. So we'll rearrange ourselves one more time. Coming more to the center of our mat, so we have space behind us. Remember, we can always walk ourselves down or a little bit of core work. Plant the soles of the feet, knees are wide. Reach those fingertips forward. Draw the abdominal muscles in. And one more time, this is articulation. We're rolling through vertebra by vertebra, bringing the back down, the shoulders, the head. Once we all get down to the ground, let's take our long body stretch. So we're gonna bring the insides of the legs and feet to touch down the middle of the yoga mat. Point and flex the feet a couple times. Reach the arms overhead. Take a big breath in, flex the feet, spread the toes, spread the fingertips. And then on our exhale, let's float those arms down. Draw the shoulder blades under. Walk the feet in. Draw the low belly in to hug the knees in. And just give it a little rock across that low back here. So I feel like I need to do a little bit more core today, especially with the holidays coming up. So we're going to do our yogi sit-ups, a few rounds of those, and then we'll do a couple other side body stretches. So feet are parallel to each other. Take the hands behind the thighs and stretch the legs up to the ceiling. Let's just get those hamstrings lengthening a little bit. Point and flex the feet, waterfall pose. You can rub back there up and down those muscles, create a little heat, get the blood flowing into those hamstrings. Now, grab a hold of the backs of those thighs and actively press your thigh bones forward. Let's flex the feet here. Look at your toes. Try to get all the toes in a nice straight line. Belly should be pulled in. The face should be nice and relaxed. Shoulders are down. Now we're going to keep these legs as straight as possible. Point through the toes. Bring the arms down at this point. You'll feel your abdominal muscles kick in. You may slide your hands underneath the lower buttock. Your low back must stay grounded. If your back starts to hyperextend off of the floor, then we've gone too far and we need to modify. The modification is maybe not going as far with our legs or bending the knees to 90 and touching the toes down one toe or 1 foot at a time, okay? Single legs first. Legs are straight, point through the toes. Pull the belly in. Inhale, start to lower the right leg towards the floor. The further you go, the more that will put some pressure on the low back. On the exhale, you slowly pull it back up. There is no swinging or momentum in this pose. Switch legs. Inhale. Ideally, try to go to the same degree as you did on the first side. Exhale to pull it up. Now move with a slow, steady breath. So if you're inhaling and lowering for a count of 3, your exhale should be lifting for a count of 3. We like to rush through those lifts, I know. Put a little smile on the face. That will help the jaw relax so it doesn't think that it's doing the work here. Let's do one more to each side. Good, nice slow movements. I love it. After we finish that left side, take your time. We'll bend the knees, take a quick break, relax the belly, give your back a little rock side to side. So we're gonna do one more round. Second round, we have the option to do double legs. If you already feel a little pressure on the back, maybe stay with your single legs, your modification. Reach both legs up to the ceiling, point to the toes. Shoulders down. Single leg lifts, following the breath. If we want a little bit more, zip the legs and feet together. Inhale, both legs lower. You might not be able to go as far. Make sure you're pulling that belly in. Do not hyperextend the low back from the floor. Exhale, you gotta pull those legs all the way back up to vertical. If we're doing our single legs, keep one leg stacked over the hips at all times. Inhaling to lower. Exhaling to slowly lift. We're trying to wake up and ignite the Agni in our belly. So this pose is really great for our digestion, improves our metabolism, as well as toning and strengthening the lower abdominals, which helps support the health of our spine and our back. Two more doubles or one more to each side. After we balanced ourselves out, good job. Bend those knees, hands to shins, take a break, relax the belly, rock out the back. So we haven't done this one in a while. This is gonna give us a stretch up through the quads, through the hip, a little bit into our side bodies as well. I don't know the name of this pose, still haven't figured it out. So knees are together, feet are parallel to each other. Cross just the right ankle on top of the left ankle. Just at the ankle, relax the feet. The feet are kind of floppy. Now reach down with the right hand and try to take a hold of the top of the left foot or the toes. If you're unable to take a hold of that foot, don't worry about it right now. You'll still be able to do the pose. We gotta lift the right foot up just a little bit to get it out of the way. Now look at your left knee. The knee does not angle out like pigeon pose or Baddha Konasana. The knee points up to the ceiling. So you're gonna start to lift the left knee, point it to the ceiling, and the left knee is gonna fall straight forward to the front of the mat. Simultaneously, you are drawing the left foot over to the right buttock. Any pinching pain around those knees, you need to back off. And the knee might not easily touch the ground. Mine doesn't touch. I'm getting a big stretch up the top of the left quad through the hip. Try to keep your low back grounded, hips level, so don't let those tight muscles pull you out of alignment, pull the belly in. So I'm gonna give us some options for the rest of this pose, and then we can kind of pick and choose where we wanna stay. Shoulders are grounded here. One option, let go of the foot and take both hands to the right shin bone or behind the calf, if that's better for your knee, and draw the right knee towards the right shoulder, but you still want to encourage the left knee to the floor in front of you. Elbows down, shoulders down. Now this next variation, some people prefer this variation, but we can try the next one. This one is really strong. Let go of the right leg and drop the right foot to the floor right in front of that left ankle. So right foot to the floor. Now the right knee, we will allow it to fall open like Baddha Konasana. You might feel this intensify to stretch up the left quad through the hip. Keep your low back flat and grounded. One more option, again, back to the side bodies here, is to reach the arms overhead. Take a hold of opposite elbows and then try to wiggle your elbows to the top of the mat as your left knee is still following down towards the front of the mat. And then if we get a lot of stretch through there, just relax, try to let it go. Use the exhale to release any tension or tightness we might find. One more breath. To release, slide the arms down, float the right knee up first. We're gonna pull the right knee back towards the body so the right foot lifts up away from the floor, and that allows us to carefully slide the left foot out from underneath us. Place both feet down to the ground, wider than the hips. Give them a little rock side to side. And then other side, draw the belly in, hug the knees up and into the body, feet parallel to each other. This time, cross just the left ankle on top of the right ankle. Relax the feet are floppy. Reach down with the left hand, try to take a hold of the top of the right foot or by the toes. If you don't have the foot, don't worry about it, you can still do the pose. From here, float the left foot up just a little bit so it's out of the way. Look at the right knee. Try not to let it point out to the side of the mat, point it up to the ceiling. Start to draw it up to the ceiling and then point it straight forward from the hip to the front of the mat. Simultaneously try to encourage the right foot over towards the left glute. This is my tight side, it's pulling me out of alignment. I can feel in my low back wanting to arch away from the floor. So I really gotta draw navel to spine, level out my hips. A lot of tightness in this right hip. I know that. So if you have the same thing, just be mindful. Other variation, take the hands to the left shin bone or behind the thigh and draw the left knee towards the left shoulder. Still trying to keep your right knee towards the floor. Use the breath, shoulders down, elbows in. Next variation, release the left leg. We bring the left foot to the floor in front of the right ankle. We do allow that left knee to fall open, Baddha Konasana style. Arms may reach overhead. Switch the cross of the hands, opposite elbows. Try to walk those elbows further towards the top of the mat as you drop the right knee towards the front of the mat. And use that breath to let go. One more breath. We'll slide those arms down, float the left knee up, pull the left leg back towards the body to get the foot off the floor. Carefully slide the right foot out from underneath. Plant both feet to the ground, feet are wider than the hips. Give them a little rock side to side. Draw the belly in, hug the knees in. So we have a few minutes here before our final relaxation. I'll give you these minutes to visit any pose that you feel like you need to have in your practice to help the body move into our final relaxation. Maybe happy baby if we need a little bit more for our hips. Maybe revisiting waterfall pose in a gentle inversion or Supta Konasana, legs wide. You can also take a spinal twist here if we need to wring things out here at the end of our practice, dropping the knees to the right and then the left. So whatever we feel like we need, maybe we're ready to go into final relaxation and we want to spend a little bit more time there today. You can start the process of getting the body supported and comfortable. So take another minute or two to balance yourself out as needed. And then we'll all start, if we haven't already, moving ourselves into a restorative pose to finish our practice. We might just be ready to flop to the ground, releasing the body down into Shavasana with the legs straight, extended, feet a little wider than our hips, with those arm bones rolling open beside the body. If we have bolsters, pillows, we want to take underneath our legs today, or support our spine or the back of the head, do so. If you have your chairs or you're near a wall and you want to elevate your legs over a piece of furniture or up the wall, you may do so. Today might be a nice day to place some props on top of the body, blankets and pillows to help weight the body and warm the body. If you have eye coverings, use your eye coverings. So I'll take a moment here to put just as much effort moving into this final pose, most important pose that we practice. This is the place that we reap the benefits of everything else that we just did. Our body absorbs all the benefits of our asana, of our breath work. A place to recharge our battery, plugging ourselves in, refilling our cups. So I'll do a little bit of guided relaxation and then give us several moments of peace and quiet, and then use the singing bowl to bring us out of it to finish class together. Loosen the clothing, adjust the surroundings, rock the head, finding the very back center of the skull. Poof the cheeks up with air. Release the mouth, tongue, and jaw. Swallow a couple times. Relax the throat. Let the arms hang heavy, relaxing from the shoulders to the elbows, elbows to the wrists. Relax the hands. Let the fingertips curl up naturally. Feel the energy at the centers of the palms. Soften the heart and the chest. Relax the belly completely, all of the abdominal muscles, the internal organs. Noticing a subtle rise and fall of the belly with the gentle breath. Relax down the back, vertebra by vertebra. Let the low back sink into the ground. Relaxing the larger muscles around the hips, the buttocks, and thighs. Let the legs be heavy, sinking into the ground. Relaxing from the hips to the knees, knees to the ankles. Relax the feet, the toes, the space between the toes. Soften all the creases and wrinkles on the soles of the feet. Relax all the little muscles across the face. Smooth the skin of the brow. Relax the eyebrow center. Eyes sink into the sockets. With the lips softly touching, release the tongue and lower jaw to gravity. The breath is easy and quiet. Notice that gentle breath around the tip of the nose and the nostrils. If the mind wanders, gently bring it back to the peaceful breath, giving ourselves permission to let go, to relax, and to sink into Shavasana. We'll gently start to come back to our breath. Breathing life back out into our body, wiggling the toes and the fingertips. A little rock of the head side to side, rolling the wrists and the ankles. And depending where we are in our space, we might be able to come back into a long body stretch on the next inhale, floating those arms back overhead, stretching side to side, feeling all the space that we created in our body today. Big breath in. On the exhale, we'll float the arms down, walk our feet in, draw the belly in to hug our knees in, and give our backs another little rock side to side. Right arm falls beside the head, rolling and pausing on our right side in Supta Balasana, cradling the head on the arm, left hand to the floor in front of the heart. And then keeping those eyes soft or closed, we'll press down into the ground, bringing our bodies back up. We will visit any comfortable seated posture here, Sukhasana, Siddhasana. Find the sit bones, sit up tall for the crown of the head, and we'll take just a couple more breaths together today. So being mindful of our surroundings, float those arms off to the side of the body, turning the palms up to the ceiling. Nice deep breath in to float those arms all the way up and to gather up everything we need for the rest of our day. Turn the palms back out, big exhale, float the fingertips all the way back down to the ground and let go of all that other junk we don't need today. And again, inhale, arms up. This time, bring the palms to touch and exhale the hands into Anjali Mudra in front of the heart. Humbly bow the head down to the heart to honor and thank ourselves, our bodies, each other, and anyone else that made it possible for us to practice our yoga together today. If you'd like to join me in chanting the Om Shanti mantra, please do so. Otherwise, just sit with the breath for a moment. To begin, take a deep breath in through the nose. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Harihi Om, Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om, Tat Sat.